Good night, everyone. I hope that you are all hearing me. Okay, great. That's good. All right, well, let's get into tonight's presentation. And we're going to be looking again, following up now on page 75, looking at number 1 to 5 on page 75. All right. So let's go with that. No, not page 75. It would be page 77, actually. Numbers 1 to 6. All right. Okay, so number 1 says if 1 kilogram of beef costs $230, what is the cost of 0.5 or half a kilogram of beef? So how I have it set up here, 1 kilogram of beef costs $230. A half a kilogram, we want to know what's the cost for that. So simply, we could go ahead and we could cross multiply. On this side, we would have the left-hand side. This is the right-hand side. So x, 1 times x would be equal to 230 multiplied by 0.5. And we could set that out like this. Hold on, we have somebody coming in here. Are you hearing me? I am hearing your background. I don't know if you're hearing me. Are you hearing me? All right, well, let's move on. So we'd have 230 here, and we multiply this by 0.5, okay? So we're just going to pretend that this decimal point does not exist. We make one note of it here. We make note of it here that we have one place of decimal. And then at the end, we're going to add that back. So 5 times 0 would be 0. And 5 threes would be 15. So I write 5. I'm gonna write 5, and I'm going to carry 1. And 5 twos would be 10. 10 and 1 would make 11. Now, we don't need to multiply by this 0 because all we're going to do is get a whole line of zeros. So remember, we spoke about this one decimal point. I need to make sure that I have one place of decimal in my answer. So my answer in dollars here, X would be equal to $115. No sense. Okay. So X would be equal to $115. So the answer there would be 100. The cost of 0.5 kilogram or half a kilogram of beef would be $115. That is the same as saying 230. Looking at it, instead of looking at it like this, we could say 230 over 1 multiplied by a half, because 0.5 can be expressed as a half. And this is the same as saying 2 into itself. Well, we want to make this whole number 230 a fraction by putting it over 1. And then we could say 2 can go into both of these numbers here diagonally, because 2 is an even number and 230 would be even. So both of them would have 2 as factors. So 2 could go into 2 one time, and 2 into 2 here, 1. 2 into the 3 here would go one time, remainder would be 1. And 2 into 10 would go 5. So now we have 115. Numerator by numerator, 115 times 1 would give us 115, and 1 times 1 would give us 1, and any number divided by 1 remains the same. So either way, at the end of it, we should be able to reason this out and say that a half a kilogram of beef should cost $115. Okay. So here, $115. And that would be our final answer. Any questions on that? So if you're watching, you can leave a comment and we can take that. Okay, so we have no comments there. So let's move on to number 2. Again, if you're just joining, we're at page 77 and I'm moving on to item 2. So let's scroll down. Item 2. Item 2 says, if twice a number is 28, what is 3 times that same number? Let's go with that again. If twice a number is 28, what is 3 times that same number? So let's look at this then. Here we have twice some number, and I'm just using this box here to represent the unknown. It's going to be 28. So I need to find it. So I'm going to look at this as an equation. And on this side, I have 2 times a number. I want to get the box by itself. So I'll divide by 2. And anything that I do to the left-hand side, let's say that this is the left-hand side, and this is the right-hand side. Anything that I do to this side, I need to do it to the other side, the opposite side, for it to be balanced. I can't do one operation to one side and leave it. That's not keeping it balanced. So I divide one side by 2. So I have to divide this side by 2. So 2 will cancel 2 here, leaving me with the unknown, or the box here. This symbol represents that unknown variable. And now we have 28 and we're going to divide that by 2. Again, it's an even number, so 2 can go into both of them. So 2 can go into 2 one time, and 2 could go into this 2 once, and 2 could go into the 8 4 times. I would have 14 over 1, which is the same as 14. So this unknown number we now know is 14. And it makes sense that if we plug this number back into the original statement, 2 times a number is 28. And if we work it out and get 14, then we should be able to say 2 times 14 is 28, and that is correct. Therefore, it now says, what is 3 times that number? So we'd put 14 here. That represents that. So 14. So we could simply just set this out and say 3 times 14. 3 fours would be 12. And we would carry 1, and we would say 3 ones, 3 and 1, 4. We're looking at 42. Any questions with regards to that one? Any comments, any questions? Okay, great. All right, so now we go to item 3. It says a car travels 100 kilometers on 10 kiloliters of gasoline. How far will it travel on 16 liters of gasoline if it uses fuel at the same rate? Okay. 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 All right. This particular question here, let me look at this. My setup for this is not correct. I'm looking at it now. I'm seeing that my setup here is not correct. We're going to fix this one tomorrow when we get to class. Let me show you why. It says, all right, well, let me just go through with this and show you what I mean. I'm going to assume, you see, that both of these are kiloliters. The question really does not say that it's kiloliters, but for the purposes of this, if you notice on mine, it has 10 kiloliters and 16 kiloliters. Looking back at the question, properly, the question says that it's 16 liters. Now, liters and kiloliters are completely different sets of units. So we'd have to make sure that our units are the same. But this is what I have on screen. So let's just work through this. And tomorrow we can go through what it would have been, according to what the book has. All right. But anyways, there are two approaches that we could use. We could, again, cross multiply here if the units were, in fact, both sets here, kilometer on one side and kiloliter on the other side. So let's go with this. Cross multiplying here, we would have 100 multiplied by 16. That's what we have here on the left hand side. And we have 10 by x, and we would get 10x on this other side. So the process is the same. It's just that the units would be a little bit different, based on what we have from the book versus what I have here. So again, following through with this now, we'd have 1600 because 100 multiplied by 16 here would give us 1600, and we would have 10x on this side. Cool. So if we want to get x by itself, what would we need to do? We would need to divide both sides by 10. So here we have this side being divided by 10, this side being divided by 10. So 10 divided by 10, this will leave me with x on the right hand side, and 1600 divided by 10 will leave me with 160. So 160 would be equal to x. So we could go 160 kilometers on 16 kiloliters of fuel. All right, method 2, finding out what 10 kiloliters would be able to, how far that would be able to carry you. So we could simply divide 10 into the 100 and we would get 10, right? So we know that to go 10 kiloliters would carry you 10 kilometers. So if this unit is 10 to 1, one set of this gives me 10 of that. Then if it is that I have 16 of this one, then all I would need to do is multiply the 16 by the 10, and I would have my answer. And 10 times 16 would give me 160. And again, my answer would be in keeping with what we had gotten before. All right. So the process is the same. That's what's important. That there are two approaches. One, I could go try to work it out, using algebra, or I could simply find what one unit of that particular thing is and then multiply it by the number of units that we need. So that's the approach. Let's go now to the next item. Any questions on that though? Just to be sure. No? Okay. Let's go then to item 4. It says 4 students shared 50 marbles so that one gets 10, one gets 12, and another gets 20. What percentage of the set of marbles did the 4th child get? All right. So let's go with this now. So we have 4 children getting marbles, and all of it should come up to 50 marbles in all. One gets 10, one gets 12, the other gets 20. And of course, the 4th, we don't know what the 4th is just yet. Okay. Let's look at this. If we want to find out what this child would have gotten, all we need to do is add all of this and then subtract it from this, and we would get this one. So 10 and 12 and 30, that would make what? So 10 and 20 makes 30, and the 12 makes 42. So all of this over here would be 42. 42 plus something should be equal to 50. And, if we really wanted, we would take the 42 from this side. So we find out what this is, and we would take the 42 from the other side as well. So whatever we're looking for would be equal to what? 50 minus 42. And this would be what? 8. All right. So whatever we're looking for, let's make this into a box then. Huh? So the unknown here would be equal to 8. Cool. Now that we know that, we can then, in terms of a percentage, work this out. So this section here, 10, is really 10 parts out of 50, right? And then that would be the next child would get 12 parts out of 50. The third child would have gotten 20 parts out of 50. And we now know that the fourth child got 8 parts out of 50. Now, as a percentage, to find the percentage, we would say whatever the fraction is, this fraction is 10 out of 50, and we multiply that by 100 over 1. Okay, so this is the same as saying 50 into itself one time and 50 into 100 two, and we would just say 10 times 2, so this would be 20%. All right, so whatever the top number is, we're really going to multiply it by 2. If you notice, that's what's happening there. So let's swap colors. So this 10/50th really represents 20%. And if we were to work this one out, it would really be 24%. The 20 out of 50, that would be 40%. Let's double check that to, just follow through on the principle. It would be 20 over what? 50, because it's 20 parts out of the 50. And we're going to multiply that by 100 over 1. 50 into itself one time and 50 into 100 two times. And numerator by numerator now, 20 by 2, that would be 40 over 1. And this would be equal to, and we're dealing with percentage out of 100, so that's 40%. So I hope that you're seeing, how it is that I'm getting this. So 8 now, 8 twos would be what? 16. So this really would be 16%. So the question asked again, 4 students shared 50 marbles so that one gets 10, one gets 12, and another gets 20. What percentage of the set of marbles, the set being 50, did the fourth child get? So the fourth child would have gotten what? The 16%. So 16% of the marbles, that's what that fourth child would have gotten. All right, any questions on that one? Okay, great. I'm looking here. No comments yet. All right, so everybody understands. Let's move on to the next item. And here it says James was 17 years old 5 years ago. How old will he be in 9 years? All right. So let's go. We have a past, present, future set up again. So we don't know what the present age is, but we know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, he was 17. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So it should be 23 now. No, not 23. So it would be 22 because this is one movement. So that would be 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Right. So he should be 22 right now. And then it says 9 years. Let's go. What will he be in 9 years? So this is 22 and 9. So this is 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So it should be 31 at that point. So, we could represent it like this, thinking of this as a what number line, right? And the different movements going here on our number line. Remembering that the past, the present, and the future are all important, and arrange it so we can see it that way. However, we could also set it out like this and say 17 years ago, no, hold on. Not 17 years ago. He was 17 5 years ago. So we need to add that to the 17 to get to the present time. And then 9 years into the future, how old will he be? So again, um, it would be 9 and 5. That would give us 14, 14 and or 7. And that would give us 21 and 2. This gives us 31. Okay. Any questions on this one? All right, no questions there. Cool. So let's go to the last item for this evening. And this one reads, in 20 days, it took 4 women, 20 days, in 20 days, it took 4 women to complete a task. How long will it take 20 women to complete the same task working at the same rate? All right, so I have it set up here. I have days, I have women, and we know 20 days, the task was completed in 20 days by 4 women. If I, increase the number of women from 4 to 20, how long would that take? That's the basic setup. Now, of course, this is an inverse proportion again, because what's increasing here? The number of women increase. And as the number of women increase, it's only logical that the number of days should what? Decrease, right? Because we have more women working, so it should take less time. So let's go with this. On this side, what happened to 4 to get it to 20? They would have what? Multiplied here, multiplied by 5, true? In order to get it to 20. So because again, inverse proportion, we would do the opposite on this side. So instead of multiplying by 5, we would divide by 5. So 20 divided by 5, so for now, we're thinking that x should be 4. So really, we're saying if it took 4 days, no, not 4 days, 4 women, 20 days, then 20 women should take 4 days, right? Another way of looking at the same thing is this way. We could say 20 days to 4 women, or reading it the other way around, 4 women take 20 days. If I have 20 women, how many days would that take? So what I could do, I could look at this and I could say, since this is an inverse proportion, I'm going to flip this side of it. I'm going to flip that side and say this is x over 20, and that would be equal to 4 upon 20. We could cross multiply and see. Let's go with this. So on the left hand side, it would be 20x being equal to 4 times the 20. This would be 80. And to get this x by itself, I would divide this side by what? By 20. So 20 will cancel 20. And anything I do to the left hand side, I need to do the same thing to the right hand side. So I will have x by itself being equal to what? 20 into itself 1 time and 20 into 80 4 times. This would be 4 over 1. And the number divided by 1 remains the same. So x would be equal to 4. So if you take this approach and just, common sense and look at it and say, boy, they increased by multiplying by 5, inverse proportion. I need to do the opposite on the other side. So I will divide by 5. Or you want to look at it this way. Either way you take it, we can see that our answer there is going to be 4. All right, guys. I'll just take 1 second and look if anybody has any questions, any comments there? Nope. Okay, great. So please remember to, you know, leave your comments below, share the video with your friends, and make sure that you're using this opportunity to practice as much as possible in preparation for your exams. Take care, and I will see you in the next episode.